the 2022 World Junior Championship.
Your hockey championship, and only one dress rehearsal this year, and today Canada takes on Russia in its only pre-tournament game, a rematch of their semifinal meeting won a year ago by Canada 5-0. Referees are Jonas Kova from Finland, Adam Kika of Czechia, Daniel Persson from Sweden is a linesman, along with Roman Slavakovsky from Russia. And we'll see some rotating officials in this game as they try to get everyone in. And there is Yaroslav Askarov playing in his third World Junior for the Russians. He allowed 4 goals on 34 shots in that semifinal loss to Canada. He's been up and down in his appearances in the World Junior Tournament over the years. And there is 19-year-old Dylan Garand, native of Victoria, BC. Bob McKenzie mentioned he signed his entry-level contract with the New York Rangers this week. Plays for Kamloops in the Western Hockey League. 51-year-old Sergei Zubov, Hockey Hall of Famer, is behind the bench for the Russians, a late replacement for Igor Larionov. Zubov has coached for 5 years on and off in the KHL. And Dave Cameron coached Canada back in 2011, a heartbreaking loss to Russia in the gold medal game that year. Went on to become the head coach of the Ottawa Senators and then the Vienna Capitals in Austria for the last 3 years. He's now the head coach of the Ottawa 67s in the Ontario Hockey League. And for Team Canada, it's been a long camp. There have been cuts made, but the team is selected, and now one chance to see them together. And Dave Cameron telling us earlier today, Ray, there's a lot he wants to see.
Well, so much to try and cram in evaluation-wise, and one of his hopes is that they play a lot of the game 5-on-5, so you get to see lines out together. He said he's not going to move the lines around much, that the lines will stay in their formation so they can try and build a little chemistry. It's one thing to scrimmage against each other internally, another to play against an opponent.
In 2019 at the Hlinka Gretzky Summer Under-18 tournament, these teams faced each other. Jake Neighbors was one of the players who played for Canada. The Russians won that game 3-2. 23 players who played in that game are here tonight. Owen Zellweger plays it across for his D partner. Owen Power quickly bumped there, but Power moves it ahead to Zellweger, a smooth skating defenseman for Everett in the Western Hockey League, who grew up here in Fort Saskatchewan, just outside Edmonton. And the puck loose in the corner. Move back to the blue line and now poked ahead. And brought in by Svechkov. Power back with it. Played 10.5 minutes in the third period of the gold medal game of the World Championship. He played less than 30 seconds in the first period of the first game.
It's just remarkable to see how much he became a relied upon player at that tournament. Just an early note there, he's out on the ice with Owen Zellweger, and Zellweger, like everybody else on the Canadian Blue Line's a lefty. They both ended up on the same side of the ice as they were trying to break out of the zone. They'll have to get used to each other and the sides of the ice they're on.
Perfetti chips out ahead with Shane Wright, the presumptive first overall pick in the upcoming NHL draft. By the way, to that, the Russians say that's nothing. Every skater on their team is a left-handed shot. Askarov, the goaltender, the only righty they have.
It's just remarkable that there wouldn't be, out of 22 skaters, they wouldn't have one right-hander somewhere.
Left behind the net by Arseny Kormislov. And now brought out by Yegor Sabakov. That gold medal win by the Russians back in 2011, their last in the World Junior Championship. There have been 4 silver medals since then for them. As Mason McTavish works in, McTavish in, shoots! And Askarov makes the save on Mason McTavish, who has 2 goals in the NHL this year for Anaheim before being sent back to Peterborough of the Ontario League. Canada lost the gold medal game last year to the United States, beat the Russians in that hotly contested gold medal game on Ostrava in 2020, beat Sweden in 2018 in Buffalo. Off the draw, McTavish wins it back to Donovan Sabrango. And here's Kent Johnson from the Michigan Wolverines, a teammate of Owen Powers there. Johnson contracted COVID in early December, but was able to serve his quarantine and qualify to join Team Canada late in camp. Sabrango around to Johnson, who's having a terrific year in the NCAA. Native of Port Moody, BC, flips out ahead. And Maverick Bork pokes at it along the boards. Moved back by Nikita Novikov. And now brought out by Shakir Mohammedullin. first round pick of New Jersey in the 2020 draft. Right away, Will Cooley got into the forecheck. Now poking at it is Ivan Chinchenko. He can't clear it out. And finally does bounce back to center ice, and Ryan O'Rourke back to pick it up. O'Rourke snaps that pass ahead for Desnoyers. Couldn't quite reach it. And Elliot Desnoyers had that knocked away from him. And now it's poked back by Ivan Ditkovsky. The Russians will open against Sweden on Boxing Day and close out the round robin against the United States in Red Deer on December 31st. Now Marat Husnudinov works in. That shot by Matvei Michkov, turned away by Garant. Matvei Michkov, the recently turned 17-year-old, is projected to be a top pick along with Connor Bedard in the 2023 NHL draft. Michkov has played this year for SK St. Petersburg in the KHL.
And 17 goals in 11 games in the MHL. And then he's played up in the KHL, as you mentioned. He's got 5 points there as well.
The MHL is the Russian Junior League. He, of course, was the MVP of the under-18s last spring as Russia faced Canada for the gold medal. Canada won that. Canada has 6 players from that under-18 tournament playing on its roster this year. Zellweger to center ice to Cole Perfetti. Now Zellweger back with it. That pass goes off a skate. And the bouncing puck knocked down by Perfetti. Would an all-lefty defense concern you?
A little bit. There's going to be times where the players are going to be put into a really challenging spot, and not everybody can handle it. I mean, it'll be fine for most of the time. Once in a while, it's going to be a challenge.
Wright turns it over. Brought in now by Guzlistov. And now a centering pass goes off a stick, bounces back in front to Perfetti. He's been playing for the Manitoba Moose of the American League this year. First round pick of the Winnipeg Jets. Maverick Bourque works in. He got tied up there by Nikita Smirnov. And now Johnson looks in the corner. Kent Johnson plays it back. Gulia shot. Askarov couldn't find it. Rebound Johnson in, fanned on it. And now poked away by Chibrikov. Johnson got knocked down in the corner as he was taken in hard by Novikov. And now that long shot is gloved by Askarov.
There's Dylan Garand, as the guys mentioned. Congratulations to him signing his entry-level NHL contract. Announced today, Husnudinov dances through the middle of the ice, and Michkov, of his great talents, has an NHL delivery. Test Garand, right pad stop, and then the rebound is going to pop right to the top of the crease. The Russians are 2 at first. It's Demidov, and he hits the outside of the goalpost.
Now a hand pass called in the offensive zone against Canada. It's hard to recall a tournament, Ray, where we're going to see so many players who have not yet been drafted playing starring roles. Of course, you got Owen Power from last year's first overall pick. You rarely see them in the World Junior the next year. But you've got Shane Wright, who will likely go first overall this year. You've got Bedard and Michkov, who are going to be likely 1-2 or in the conversation for 1 in 2023.
Well, certainly a lot of factors to it. I mean, some of it is players are making to the NHL quicker than ever before, and they're not being released by the NHL teams. Others are, these younger players develop quicker, and they just push their way onto rosters. I mean, Connor Bedard, you know, as we see him right there, he gets to camp, and he left Canada no choice but to take him onto this team. He wasn't the guarantee by any stretch.
So 22 skaters and 3 goaltenders on the 25-man rosters for this tournament, so that means there will be healthy scratches throughout the tournament. Canada is dressing extra players for this pre-tournament game, an agreement with the Russians to put more players out. Jake Neighbors pokes it back in. Logan Stankoven, the only scratch for Canada this evening. Now picked free by Ridley Gregg, shoots. Askarov makes the stop. And Gregg knocked down hard from behind by Semyon Demidov, and a penalty coming to Russia as Gregg was spilled. No score here in the first period. Canada the power play after that.
Be sure to follow NHL Network on all your favorite social platforms.
There's the penalty up at the top of the screen as Ridley Gregg gets cross-checked. Semyon Demidov takes the cross-checking penalty. Canada's power play will get their first chance here. It'll be the 4 forwards, and Owen Power will be the defenseman at the back.
So Power and Kent Johnson talking things over at the back. The 2 Michigan Wolverines. You got McTavish, Perfetti, and Maverick Bourque up front. And Johnson races to it, holds the line for a moment, and now sent down the ice by Svechkov, and a rolling puck that Owen Power had to be careful with. Power to Perfetti. The 2 returnees for Canada. In comes Maverick Bourque. Bourque for Perfetti. Swings it back across, and that shot taken right on. Rebound score! McTavish on the rebound of Johnson's shot. And Canada's got a 1-0 lead in the power play goal.
Well, that didn't take very long as Mason McTavish, who has a couple of goals in his 9 NHL games in Anaheim this year, is on the board. Excellent break and entry by Maverick Bourque as he pushes the Russians deep into the zone. That opens up this cross-seam pass, as Perfetti's going to go through the seam to Johnson. Johnson's attempt to the net is actually a pass to McTavish. Askarov gets a pad on it, but there's nobody to tie up McTavish's stick, and he's got an easy one, and Canada's on the board.
Well, Mason McTavish has had quite a year already. We mentioned he scored 2 goals for Anaheim in the NHL. He played in their season opener. He wasn't supposed to. He skated with the healthy scratches in the morning, but Max Jones got sick in the afternoon, so when he got to the rink, they said, "You're playing," and he scored in his first NHL game against the Winnipeg Jets.
Sometimes it's better not to think about it.
And now a chance there for Zlodev. And Zlodev shot that wide. Battling forward is Maverick Bourque. On the other side is Johnson. And Johnson banks it back around. Lucas Cormier trying to knock it down, and the puck loose in the corner. Cormier feeds it back for the Canadian captain, Caden Goulet. Goulet and Perfetti, the 2 returnees from last year. Owen Power did not play last year despite being eligible for Canada. Elected to stay at Michigan given the quarantine issues that were going on at the time. And now Justin Sorda works in, shoots. Askarov save, rebound, score! And that's Ridley Gregg who snaps that home. And Canada grabs a 2-0 lead, but hang on, they're going to review this. So the 2 referees.
It's a pretty slick play coming into the zone here, and Ridley Gregg puts away the rebound. They'll review this immediately. The official went to the review. Terrific play entering the zone by Jake Neighbors, and Ridley Gregg throws this rebound into the top of the net. Sort of enters the zone. I don't see anything there.
Except a nice shot by Ridley Gregg.
I mean, there's nobody within 2 feet of the net. It's a rebound burped out after some traffic going to the front of the net. A sort of shot originally is stopped by Askarov, and Gregg puts this away. I don't see any way this is a problem here. A quick start for Canada.
Maybe you're looking to see if the puck went in the net. It wasn't in very long. But it clearly is, and so Canada's grabbed a quick 2-0 lead, as you mentioned. Ridley Gregg, first-round pick of the Ottawa Senators.
Of the lines that Dave Cameron and his staff put together, they bounced them around a little bit as they tried to adjust and tinker at training camp. The one line that didn't come apart at all was this line with Neighbors, Gregg, and Sordiff. They're going to be a line that plays against the other team's top groups. They're on the board here.
And there on the right is Mike Dick, one of the assistant coaches for Canada, who has coached Ridley Gregg on and off since the age of 10. Of course, Ridley's dad, Mark Gregg, was an NHL player. So 2 goals in 50 seconds stakes Canada to a 2-0 lead. And Ray, Askarov's a first-round pick and a high one, 11th overall. But you wonder if the Russians aren't concerned about their goaltender.
Well, he's never really looked like he's going to lock down anything, and this is his 3rd tournament. We've seen him back-to-back years. Highly touted, athletic. Yet he's not been able to really look like he's in control of the game at any point.
Now, Perfetti, a long shot that's knocked away by Askarov, who was the goaltender for the Russians in that Hlinka Gretzky Cup championship against Canada and played terrifically well in that championship game. He was probably the reason they won the gold medal. Xavier Bourgault plays that back across. And here's Sabrango with it. Carson Lambos to the Winnipeg Ice of the Western League, coached there by James Patrick, longtime NHL defenseman. Benoit moves that back down to the Russian zone. Russians, we mentioned, brought all their players from Russia. No North Americans are on this roster this year. That means 2 returning players, Yan Kuznetsov and Daniel Chayka, are not back. And they also didn't bring Matvei Petrov, an Edmonton Oiler prospect, who's tied for 3rd in goal scoring in the Ontario Hockey League right now. So the Russians, as always, are full of intrigue and mystery. There was a coaching change. Zubov taking over for Larionov. They lost the gold medal game, as we mentioned, in 2020 to Canada, but nothing to show in terms of gold medals since that 2011 win, the famous 3rd period comeback against Dave Cameron's Team Canada.
Just 1 gold since 2004, but they've won 14 medals. They always seem to be a team you think is going to win, and they just cannot find a way to finish the tournament off.
Now Johnson bats that back to O'Rourke right in front. Had to be careful. That was Ronan Seeley, and here's Seeley back with it. Seeley plays for Everett in the Western League. Rink wide pass ahead for Johnson. He moves in on Savikov. Brought back in by Chibrikov. Svechkov got bumped along the boards. And now a loose puck in front. A good stop there by Garand. On Fedor Svechkov.
A good track by Garand as that puck he thinks is coming to the net. And when Svechkov grabs it, he has to track it, find it, and make the stop.
Now a turnover, and Gregg is back the other way. Ridley Gregg moving in with Sorted. Gregg shoots him a sharp angle, and Askarov makes the save. There were some questions about Askarov at the start of the year in Russia. He was sent down to the 2nd league in Russia. He and Garand faced off in that championship game at the Hlinka Gretzky Cup. Here's Garand's save. Here's
the save. As you see, it's through the traffic. He thinks it's going to his left, but he's able to keep an eye on it and then move to his right. Garand says he wants to control the crease like UC Saros. It's funny, you know, you emulate somebody that looks like you, plays like you. Saros is about the same size as Garand. You're not big, so you've got to stay on your angles, be able to control the crease. They both do a nice job.
Zellweger, a long shot. That deflects wide. Power in deep on it. Bumped there by Husnudinov, but Power works it free. The 6'5" Canadian defenseman Power drops it back for Neighbors. He got spun around. Now a Russian defender has lost his stick. It's in the feet of Power, who still makes the pass. And Zellweger, a long shot that hit Askarov. Not sure he saw it.
He didn't even react. He was up, standing on his feet, and this hit his pad right down by his toe.
In comes Matvei Michkov on the forecheck, number 17 for Russia. His coach in SK St. Petersburg is Valery Bragin, a longtime coach of the Russian national junior team. Now a chance and a shot packed wide there by Demidov. That shot taken by Koromizlov is blocked, and almost a break there for Neighbors, but end of a shift for him. He heads off. Gulik. Back across to Cormier. Lead pass to Perfetti, who chips that ahead, knocked in by Wright. And Askarov knocks that away. But Perfetti knocks down the clearing attempt. Throws it back in, and here's Bedard going after it. Connor Bedard from the Regina Pats of the Western League. Drops that back, picked up by Perfetti. Cole Perfetti slides it back to Wright. So you got Wright and Bedard out there together for Canada. Bedard moves it back across. Cormier, a long shot. And Askarov gloves it. Mason McTavish, Ridley Gregg have the goals, and Canada has an early 2-0 lead on Russia in pre-tournament action for the 2022 World Junior Hockey Championship. This tournament begins Boxing Day. Canada will open against Czechia. And if you've not heard the news, the Czech Republic has officially asked to be called Czechia in English from now on. And now a chance for the Russians. Little backhand shot taken by Guzlistov, turned away by Garand. And now an injured player, and it is Fedor Svechkov, who was down in the Canadian zone.
Was hit by a shot, I believe, from the point, and Looks like he took that just on the ankle.
Now, we've mentioned before 25-man rosters here, Ray, so you do have extra players. You can't add anyone. Once the players arrive here December 15th, no one can be added. Ooh, ouch.
Nice quick entry by Russia into the zone, and Huznadinov was able to test Garand. There's the shot from the side, and ouch, Svechkov is trying to turn to see where the puck's going to the net and catches him in the ankle.
Face off outside the Russian line. Ahmadulin plays it across, and Smirnov with it. Puts that down in the Canadian zone. Zinchenko goes after it. Goulet. Picked up by Sabrango. Throws out ahead trying to find Gunther, and Dylan Gunther couldn't quite reach that. And the face-off will come back down to the Canadian zone as you get a look at Will Cooley, who plays for the Windsor Spitfires in the Ontario Hockey League. Rangers second-round pick, 18 goals in 22 games for him. One of the top goal scorers in the Ontario League when he left for the Canadian training camp.
6'4", size. This Canadian team built a little bit differently than those in the past. They got a little more edge, they feel, to them. A little more grit and size.
Michkov tapped that back on a sharp angle shot. Taken there by Kromlithov. Stopped by Garand, and Michkov turned away in the rebound. Another shot from Kramislav at the flex wide. Michkov does not play a ton when he plays in the KHL, mostly on the second power play. Plays more in their junior league, the MHL. Eligible for the 2023 draft, but he's under contract till 2026, a 6-year deal. McTavish plays it back across. Johnson scores! McTavish to Johnson to the back of the net, and it's 3-0.
When Kent Johnson was in quarantine, Dave Cameron said, yeah, as soon as he pops out, we'll get him with McTavish on this line. Turnover in the middle of the ice, and Johnson and McTavish play the two-man game. A give and a go, and Johnson, who set up McTavish for the first one, is the beneficiary of this feather pass, and he one-times it by Askarov. I think we're going to see Kent Johnson be able to do some things with the puck that not many people can do. Connor, to me, is just a fabulous finisher. He's a blazer. But there's a skill level to Kent Johnson and a flair to his game that's going to separate him from a lot of people. He's got a little Trevor Zegras in him. You know,
that's all right.
Oh, yeah.
In comes Johnson, flips it ahead, takes the return pass from Maverick Bourque. Leaves at the side of the goal. He'll be the first popular Michigan Wolverine in Columbus, Ohio. Drafted the 5th overall by the Blue Jackets. Now brought out by Alexander Pashin. Pashin moved that ahead to Tuknev, and a sharp angle shot stopped there by Garand. And a late whack there draws some attention as Pashin got in there.
Here's Kent Johnson in warm-up. He's getting warmed up. Most guys are trying to get their feet and their legs going, and Johnson's got all kinds of tricks going on here. There's zero chance many people are able to do that. And then we see him set up McTavish early. He steals the puck here later. A little give and the goal. And his one-timer is into the back of the net. Johnson's a former Trail Smoke Eater. Played in the Cominco Arena in the BC Junior League.
We should mention that. We have to get that in, do we not?
Oh, yeah.
Trail BC native, or your Trail BC native?
I am, yes. He came to Trail and played for a year for Jeff Tambellini. Jeff now scouts with the Tampa Bay Lightning.
And that name, it's not the same level, but that name is a very famous one in Canadian hockey history. The Trail Smoke Eaters won the World Championship back in 1961.
We're very proud of the Smoke Eaters in Trail. It's amazing the legacy of hockey that came from those gentlemen.
Surprised it took you this long to get that in, to be honest with you.
Well, we didn't have time. They kept scoring here, so.
Novikov plays it along the boards. Danil Yurov, a draft-eligible prospect for the upcoming draft. He's very highly regarded, playing in the KHL for Magnitogorsk. Ooh, look out. Zellweger was fortunate to avoid a feet-first collision to the boards there for Mislov. Drops that back, and Shevchenko with a shot that was blocked by Neighbors. And Power has it back. Owen Power flips that down to the Russian zone. Power goes back, Everett. Power's the first overall pick who didn't play in the NHL the next year in 15 years.
And Eric Johnson the last.
Cole Perfetti back with it. Eric Johnson went back for his freshman year in college after being picked first overall. Power was already playing in college when he was drafted first overall by Buffalo. And a penalty coming to Russia. Perfetti drops it back to Cormier. Garand heads down to the Canadian bench. And on comes guess who? Kent Johnson. Perfetti across to right. Johnson comes streaking in. Dangles in. Finally the Russians touch up. And with 5:17 to go in the first period, Canada up 3-0 is going back to the power play.
Didn't take very long for Canada to score in the power play earlier, Mason McTavish. And now they're going to get a chance to go back on the power play as the high stick to Caden Gooley is called. So this number one group, who was only on the ice for 20 seconds the first time, gets another opportunity.
And flip back down the ice as Durant is out to play it for Power. And away comes Owen Power. Perfetti. Back to Power. And in comes Johnson with it. Kent Johnson shoots. That was blocked. Rebound loose in front. Johnson reaching for it. Picked up by Perfetti. Perfetti. That centering pass from Bork misfired. Goes over the glass and out.
One of the interesting parts with a power play like this is you have guys playing in unfamiliar positions. I mean, Power plays on the blue line, but for the most part, guys play on the half wall. Then you get to a team like this, and players that are on the half wall have to play in the bumper spot. They have to play in the front of the net. And you have to kind of feel your way a little bit. The angles look different. The puck comes at you in a different way.
Now Zellweger, a wrist shot. Bounces back to Cormier, so the second unit gets a look. Bedard is on it.
And so Bedard's in the middle of the ice where he wouldn't normally be.
And Shane Wright as well. Feeds it back in front. Bedard in, shoot. Cormier scores. Lucas Cormier collects the loose puck. And the power play goal makes it 4-0 Canada.
The second Canadian group has two defensemen on it. Cormier and Zellweger play on the blue line. It's some quick puck movement. This has become a nightmare first period for Askarov here. This is a terrific play by Jake Neighbors as he's just in front of the goal line. So often the forward will get below the goal line. Now you limit your options. Neighbors stays in front of the goal line to catch the pass. Now he's got a clean passing lane to Lucas Cormier, who's got the wide open net to make it 4-0. Canada 2 for 2 on this power play.
Cormier has more points than any defenseman in the Quebec League this year, playing for Charlottetown in the Quebec Major Junior League, a New Brunswick native. Now picked free by Gooley. Caden Gooley traded to the Edmonton Oil Kings of the Western Hockey League earlier this month from Prince Albert. Now Gooley flips that wide. So playing in his home rink here. Loose puck picked free. Digging at it. There's Denayer. Now loose in front of the Canadian bench and played back across by Dylan Gunther, who also plays here for the Oil Kings. He's an Edmonton native. He's basically had his career parked here. Grew up playing here, plays for the Oil Kings. Had he played in the Hlinka Gretzky Cup, that would have been here too, but it was canceled last summer. Gorgo, a centering pass, goes back to O'Rourke. O'Rourke shoots. And that goes off the leg of Hustopidov over the glass. And out 3:27 to go in the first period.
First power play group scored 15 or 20 seconds in. It didn't take this second group much longer. Right to Neighbors. And Cormier takes that pass. What a sweet feed as the Russian defense is occupied with Bedard in the front of the net. A disappointed look for Zinchenko, and it's 4-0.
Neighbors has 2 assists in the first period. And it's chipped down by Passion. Back with Seeley to pick it up. And round he goes for Maverick Bourque. Bourque. It's tied up with the linesman skates, and now Seeley back with it. Seeley dances in, throws that down as Johnson goes after it. Kent Johnson trying to dig that free. And McTavish looking for the loose puck as well. Passion couldn't find it. Here's Bourque. Slides it back, and Seeley had to retreat to center ice. Shots are 14-7 Canada. Greg across to Power. Owen Power flips that puck across. And now Johnson sends it back down to the Russian zone. Mohamedulin works his way in. Mohamedulin tied up there by Zellweger. Brought back the other way quickly as Neighbors fires it down. Jake Neighbors, also an Edmonton Oil King, moves that down. They're having a terrific year in the Western League. Lead pass bumped across by Smirnov. And Neighbors has it back for Canada. Up for Greg. In come Greg and Neighbors. Greg holds, tries to drop that back through the traffic. Zellweger in, shoots, Askarov save. And he quickly pounces on the rebound.
Closed captioning is brought to you in part by Quaker Oats, proud partner of Canadian Hockey Mornings.
Another scoring chance for Canada's defense. This time it's Zellweger. He actually is the 4th person into the rush. Owen Power was the 3rd, his defense partner. They're right up in the play, and as the puck bounced off of Power, Zellweger was there to get a clean look at Askarov.
Zellweger, one of those guys who played in the under-18s last spring for Canada, was the top defenseman in that tournament. Cooley moves that head to Cormier. Denayer had a bump along the boards, but the puck comes loose. Denayer moves in and shoots. Askarov makes the stop, and a penalty coming, a tripping call. Will go against,
I think it's against Russia.
It is, and it's going to be Kormislov who goes off. Another penalty to the Russians, and Sergei Zubov looks on.
Sergei can't be digging this coaching thing here. Is down 4-0, and thankfully for them, it's an exhibition game, but the trip is, oh yeah, right there is the foot of Kormislov. Kicks out the Canadian forward, and back to the power play.
Canada scored 21 seconds into its first and 51 seconds into its second. And here's Power to run things. Power to Perfetti, to McTavish, back to Johnson. Johnson to Power. Swings it back, Johnson shoots, that goes off the foot of Novikov, up and out of play.
Canada's got this great advantage on their power play as they can run things through Perfetti on the left or Johnson on the right. Two very slick passers that can find the open man. Johnson shooting the one-timer over there on the power pass. Man, that makes it difficult to defend when you can attack so cleanly from both sides of the ice.
Here's Power with it. Back across to Johnson. To the goal mouth to McTavish. Back to Johnson. Rink wide, he goes to Perfetti. Canada throwing it around here in the power play. Perfetti in for McTavish. Rings it around for Johnson. Minute and a half to go in the power play. Power back across. Perfetti trying to swing that back across. That was deflected. Johnson knocked it down. The final minute now of the period. Johnson pulls it free. Swings it back to Power. Back to Johnson. Shoots. He rattled that high. Perfetti back with it. Perfetti got bumped along the boards by Ditkovsky. Kept alive by Bourque. Back to Johnson. And Johnson swings it back. Owen Power walks in, bobbled the puck for a moment. Swings it back to Johnson. And now Johnson looks back for Bourque. Perfetti. Power. Johnson. In. Shoots. Askarov knocks that away. Johnson back with it. 25 seconds to go in the period. Power shoots. That's deflected in front. Knocked down the ice by Zlodeyev. Zellweger. In the final seconds now of the period, Neighbors ahead to Cormier, back for Neighbors. And just out of his reach, now Neighbors falls in the corner. Final seconds of the period. And Canada will have 24 seconds of power play time to carry over into the second period. It was all Canada in the first. 4 goals, McTavish, Gregg, Johnson, and Cormier in the one dress rehearsal for the 2022 World Junior Hockey Championship, which begins on Sunday. Our first intermission is coming up.
Play a lot of Canadian flags on that board. Gord Miller, Ray Ferraro, and the second.
Well, James, we began the day talking about the fact that all of Canada's defensemen shoot left, but when you move the puck like this, it's not a problem.
Not a problem at all, and if you're loaded with offensive forwards that can score, if your defense can't move the puck through the defensive zone to the mid zone and get it on your stick at the right time, you're not going to score. Look at how the Canadian defense goes D to D, moves the puck up the ice, and now they can get on the chase. They moved it quickly through the middle. I like the puck support that they had both at 5-on-5 and on the power play. Owen Power showed what he was all about in that first period. But also Zellweger's going to get this chance here as the puck goes off of Power's skate. Those are both defensemen up on the rush. Canada, very aggressive first period. Cormier with a power play goal. And Canada, a 4-spot, 18 shots in that first period.
And Canada starts the second period with 24 seconds of power play time, and Connor Bedard and Shane Wright are both out there for Canada. Bedard, the 16-year-old, and Wright will turn 18 during this tournament. Wins the face-off back, and we're underway in the second period. Bedard got bumped down from behind. As Dudkovsky stepped into him, now Wright with it. Wright centers it, Bedard whistled that just wide. And the first look at the elite release of Connor Bedard. In the corners, Neighbors drops it back. Wright with a chance and a glove save with the right hand of Yaroslav Askarov, a rare right-handed catching goaltender.
There's a good delivery by Shane Wright. Wright had an assist in that first period. On the Cormier goal here, he takes a little pass from Neighbors. He steps right into it. Bedard gets some back pressure here as he's entering the zone. Probably thinks he's got a little more space, but Dudkovsky runs into him from the side. There's that one-timer you're talking about, Gord. A NHL-ready shot. Watches a lot of video of Austin Matthews shooting the puck. Probably a pretty good guy to emulate, but Bedard can really get rid of the puck.
4 shots on goal for Canada on that power play. Here's Matvei Michkov, also a 2023 draft eligible, so just beginning their careers against each other. And a penalty coming now. I think Desnoyers is going to go for a slew foot. He got tangled up in front of the Canadian bench. And so the Russians will get their first power play with 56 seconds gone here in the second period.
They called the trip on Desnoyers. It's right in front of the bench, as you mentioned, as he kicks out the feet of Novikov. So here's the Russian power play, their first chance.
Ponomaryov wins the face-off back, but it gets away from Kirill Kirsanov, a returnee from last year. Kirsanov, a third-round pick of the LA Kings. They spent the entire season in the KHL with SK St. Petersburg. Players who either play for St. Petersburg or who are signed to contracts with them account for more than half of the Russian players. They're cornering the market on the top young players as Pashin works in. And in comes Alexander Pashin. Falls as he tangles there with Roland Seeley. And loose puck gathered up by Ridley Gregg. Tip to the other side. And that puck bounced away from Tutnev. Tutnev for Kirsanov. Back across, shot by Pashin, and a glove save by Garan.
Well, Dave Cameron said he didn't want this to turn into a penalty kill power play sort of game, but they've had a look at their power play in the first period, and now their penalty killers get a look here early in the second period. And so Cameron and staff can have some video on what the guys look like as a pair, the forwards, not just the defensemen. you might not like the way a group looks together, and you might flip a couple of forwards through your penalty killing groups.
Face-off won by Maverick Bourque, and the puck sent down the ice. A minute to go in this Russian power play. Khusnutdinov for Mahamadulin. Brought in now by Michkov. That played Michkov, number 17 for Russia. Michkov along the boards, pokes that down to Chabrikov. Chabrikov back for Khusnutdinov. Khusnutdinov for Mahamadulin. Back to Khusnutdinov. Drops it back. Mahamadulin with it. Does love to shoot it. Plays it back across to Michkov. To the goal mouth they go. Score! Looked like Demidov might have got the last touch on that. And a power play goal gives the Russians their first of the game.
Demidov is going to get the credit for this. His pass is going to deflect off the Canadian defenseman's foot up over Garand. So it's Owen Power down on that left side as Demidov, it's off Sabrango's left foot. Demidov has the puck at the goal line, and he's trying to go straight across the crease. Sabrango's in decent position as this pass for Chabrikov is denied. It's actually denied, but man, unfortunately perfect deflection up over Garand's shoulder, and it's 4-1.
So Demidov is one of the 12 players on the Russian roster who has played in all 3 of their leagues this year. The KHL, the VHL, which is their second league, and the MHL, which is their junior league. So a lot of these players play for multiple teams over the course of the season.
Those teams often are, there's a penalty coming up here for Canada as well.
That's delay of game.
That's O'Rourke, I believe.
Yep.
That is going to go to the box. So just mentioning those players, they play on multiple teams, but they're all in the same organization, and so they flip league to league to league. It's got to be really difficult to get any comfort in your game as O'Rourke wants to bank this off the glass, and Russia will get a quick second power play here in this period.
Mahamadulin back at the point along with Michkov. The face-off wasn't done fairly. Ridley Gregg out to take it.
So Gregg and Sordov start off up front as a group together.
Mahamadulin takes the return pass from Khusnutdinov. Rink wide to Michkov. Michkov shoots, that deflects. Just wide of the goal. Khusnutdinov plays it back around. Mahamadulin will hold the line for the Russians. Demidov. Back for Michkov. To Mahamadulin. Winds and shoots. It's off a stick and ramps up and out of play.
It looks like everything goes through Michkov. I'm laughing at him because he just held his hand out to the bench like, don't change. And so they'll stay on the ice. In the first period, he gave a negative swat of the hand to a defenseman that had dumped the puck in. He wants the puck. He wants it all the time.
Faceoff was won by Denoyer. And moved back at center ice. And here is Michkov with it. Michkov for Mahamadulin. Mahamadulin fires it back around. Power gets there, chips that, but Michkov knocks it down. At the line, Mahamadulin holds it. Now moved across. Khusnutdinov walks in, trying to bat that pass down for Demidov. Khusnutdinov slides it back. Mahamadulin across for Michkov with a shot. Rebound, loose in front, Garand down. Khusnutdinov had his shot blocked by Canada's Donovan Sabrango. And the puck cleared out and down to the Russian line. Mahamadulin drops it back. And they're finally changing now as Pashin comes out. Drops that back. Feeds it back across. That pass missed Pashin. And now Perfetti knocks it back out to center ice. Kutnev in across the line. 20 seconds to go on the Russian power play. And another penalty coming here. It's going to be a slashing call. It's going to go to Maverick Bourque, so a 17-second 5-on-3 coming for Russia.
Well, it can change quick here. There's the slash as Bourque comes back on the back pressure. So the Russians will get their third power play. Look at Michkov. This puck's at his knee height. Knocks it down out of the air. And out of this, they're going to get this chance. Garand, nice stop, goes across to the Michkov one-timer for Mahamadulin. And then some help from Sabrango as he helps block the short side.
And Michkov back out there now on the power play. He's a late born in 2004. A December birthday, so he has to wait till 2023 to be drafted. Chibrikov in across the line for Michkov.
Well, Canada without a stick.
And now a quick shot. Hustadinov. That's knocked away by Garand.
Greg now has his stick back, but they were down to 2 players with a stick for a moment.
Now 5-on-4 for the Russians. Hustadinov to Mahamadulin. Chibrikov plays it back across. Michkov up the outside of the goal frame. And now scooped up and moved down the ice by Gregg. Well, Dave Cameron, the Canadian coach, telling us this morning he didn't want to see this to be a special teams exhibition. It hasn't been. There's been lots of 5-on-5 play, but he's had a look at the penalty killers, had a look at the power play.
And has probably had enough of it. Now wants to get back to 5-on-5 here. Still a minute to go, though.
Kirsanov for Chutnev. Ponomaryov drops it back. Passion with a shot that goes off a leg and wide. Here's Passion back with it. To Kirsanov. Passion snaps it across. Chutnev in, shoots, and Garand knocks that away. Kirsanov. Chutnev. Rink wide, he goes to Passion. Back to Kirsanov for Chutnev. Walks in, shoots, glove save by Garand.
That's really well executed by Canada's penalty killers. And Donovan Sabrango heads out to block the shot. He takes away the short side of the net. And as he gets out to block this, look at Garand. Garand can look to his left. He knows the short side's taken care of by his defenseman Sabrango. And Garand, who's got really good hands, really quick glove hand, is able to snare it. But that's a good play by Sabrango to head off one half of the net.
Neighbors for the face-off against Ponomaryov, and Neighbors wins it. That allows Owen Power to ring it around and send it back down the ice. Here's Kirsanov back for it. Ponomaryov. Carolina's second-round pick, one of 10 prospects Carolina has in this year's World Junior Championship. The most in nearly 20 years. Savikov feeds it back. 3 shots on goal for Russia on that power play. Now that shot rattled high by Zinchenko. Battle along the boards. Bourque on it. And now Bourque brings it out. Maverick Bourque, first-round pick of Dallas in the 2020 draft. Feeds that down, and Bourque on it. But it's picked up by Didkovsky. Neighbors works it free. Back at the point, they swing it across. Zellweger fan of that shot on the pass from Lambos. And now lead pass. Finds Didkovsky working in a long shot. And Garand steers that away easily. Zellweger. Up for Johnson. In comes Kent Johnson in stride. And of course, with all that penalty killing, Canada's top offensive guys haven't had a chance to get out there. That third attempt just clipped the very top of the glass before going out. 4-1, Canada leads here in the second period. Time now for hockey-hungry players, powered by Quaker Oats. Well, 4 Edmonton Oil Kings, they've all got local connections. Sebastian Cossa, the goalie, trains here. Caden Gooley is from just outside Edmonton. Jake Neighbors is from Airdrie, Alberta. And Dylan Guther's from Edmonton. So all Alberta guys playing for the Edmonton Oil Kings in the Western Hockey League. Great to see the Oil Kings back. A tremendous tradition of junior hockey here. And now Cossa in goal for Canada. Takes over from Dylan Garand.
Nice job for Garand. 1 goal on the 15 shots. Really did a nice job.
So Kosa picked 15th overall in the NHL draft by Detroit in 2021. Native of Fort McMurray, Alberta. As we mentioned, spent a lot of time here training over the years.
And Gorda, there's another example of what the lack of exhibition games has done. These guys haven't been in games in weeks, and so while you would like to give Dylan Garand a full game and Sebastian Cossa a full game, there's just not enough time. You got to get them in half a game each is it.
And even the officials are switching in and out to try to get them on the ice. All 10 teams were scheduled to play today. The Czech-Switzerland game was canceled down in Red Deer as Ken Johnson works in. Johnson shovels it back in front, kicked out by Askarov. Rebound, McTavish turned away. Seeley with it. For Perfetti. Cole Perfetti. Across the top, Perfetti winds his way in, drops it back across. In comes Gooley. The pass bounced off his stick. Gooley to Perfetti. Gooley shoots. That was blocked, but it bounces across to Seeley. Rink-wide pass finds Gooley in, and Michkov reached back and took that away. Lead pass to Bourgault. Xavier Bourgault works in. Askarov save, and he'll gather up the rebound. So Sebastian Cossa, number 2 in the Western Hockey League in save percentage, trailing only Dylan Garand. Won his first 8 starts of the year. Detroit traded up to the 15 spot to take him.
It's a good day of work for Dylan Garand as well. Talked about the 15 shots, the 1 goal against, but I like the way he moved in the crease, the way he tracked the puck. He looked very, very confident today.
At the line, Zellweger plays it back in. Mohamedulin. He watched there by Sordiff. And now brought up by Smirnov. Smirnov shoots, and Cossa makes the stop on that.
November birthday is Sebastian Cossa, and at 6'6", it's a late birthday. It's taken him a little bit of time to grow into his body. He's really done so. Here's the look at Garand in his afternoon as he finds the puck through traffic. He's able to stay up on his feet as much as possible, showed the quickness that has long been in his game. It's kind of been like a Hockey Canada safety net everywhere he's been. He's been selected to teams, maybe not the starter, then he comes in, does the job like he's done at the U18 before, and he's going to get a crack at the #1 spot here, it looks like, as they start the tournament.
Panamaria works in and shoots. That was blocked. Zellweger back with it. To center ice he goes. Gregg pokes it in for Gunther. Gunther to Gregg. Ridley Gregg, who has a goal in the game, around to Gunther. Cooley's in there as well. Canada changing. Gunther spins and shoots. And Askarov made the save on that. Penalty coming up now.
It's going to be a slash here on Cooley, I believe.
And so the Russians, with a power play goal in the second period, will go back to the man advantage in a moment.
He's in the penalty box for Canada as he's in front of the net off the Gunther shot. He's going to reach to lift the stick of Sabakov, but he catches him right in the side of the helmet. So the Russians, who scored on the power play earlier, this now all of a sudden their 4th power play.
And probably not one in the tournament you're going to want to mess around with.
See, this is going to be a dangerous power play. They move the puck, and Michkov, of course, can shoot it.
They've got 8 shots in the power play in the game, just 7 5-on-5. Canada wins that battle for the puck, and Carson Lambo sends it down. 9:40 to go here in the second period. Mohamedulin back to pick it up. Mohamedulin drops it back for Chabrikov. Husnudinov across the line now. And Lambos intercepted that pass. Husnudinov. Back for Mohamedulin. To Husnudinov. Try to drop that back. Perfetti couldn't quite reach it. Husnudinov chops it back. Mohamedulin across to Michkov. Michkov shoots. And Kosa knocks that away. Khusnutdinov. For Chibrikov. Michkov with it. Back from Muhammadulin. Michkov tees it up and scores. Matvei Michkov, power play goal. And Russia's got 2.
I don't know if either team's going to be crazy about their penalty killing here, but their power plays have been sharp. 2 power play goals each. Michkov had shot earlier on the power play a wrister that was stopped by Kosa. This time's a one-timer, and it's on the short side as he takes the return feed from Muhammadulin. Draws down the penalty killer, which is Desnoyers. And when Desnoyers has to turn and go back to the point, that opens up room for Michkov, and he zips it by Kosa, and it's 4-2.
Michkov, the MVP of the under-18s in Texas last spring, scored 12 goals in 7 games. And now Zubov is having a conversation with the linesman and the official. Dave Cameron getting an update on what's going on. So 9 to go in the second period. That's a 4-2 game. We saw this in the first pre-tournament game between the United States and Finland. The Americans had a 3-1 lead late. With a 5-minute major, the Finns scored 3 consecutive goals on the power play, including the overtime winner.
You see, Desnoyers is not able to shield the pass. They moved it really quickly between Muhammadulin and Michkov, and they move it back and forth, and it's in the net.
Seeing Bedard and Michkov in the next couple of World Juniors is going to be fun. Kent Johnson centers it. Bork is knocked down hard by Novikov. Here's Cormier with it. Lucas Cormier swings it back down. Next year's World Junior Championship will be in Russia, in Omsk and Novosibirsk in Siberia. Long shot by Cormier, rebound loose in front. McTavish battling for it. Johnson couldn't find him with the pass.
Johnson wanted to go back through the seam as he had McTavish just kind of hanging there on the back door.
Dooley around for Cormier. Now stolen. Walking back in, a quick shot by Zlodeyev, and a stop made point blank by Kosa.
He wasn't sure where it was for a minute.
Now Johnson winds in as Canada changes.
He tried to flip that up in the air and go get it himself. It's a little bit of a variation of the old chip and chase.
Steklov shoots it in. Kirill Steklov played for the London Knights a couple of years ago. Might go back there after this tournament. It's not clear what his plans are, but as of now, all the Russian players play in Russia. As that puck bounced into the Canadian bench, and play is called.
We spent a fair bit of time in the first period talking about Mason McTavish and Kent Johnson, and this rebound will come to Johnson. He wants to go right back through the front of the net. He sees McTavish standing there. It's a good play by the defenseman, and here's this little chip up in the air to himself, but it's well read by Zinchenko to come across to push it aside.
Xavier Bourgault tried to knock at that. Now Ponomaryov looks ahead and finds Tutnev, but he was bottled up by Power. Smirnov throws that down to Ponomaryov. 2 Canadian defenders collided, and the puck thrown back through the crease. Muhammadulin with it. Muhammadulin shoots and bounces off a leg and wide, loose to the side of the goal. The centering pass picked up by Bourgault. Xavier Bourgault leaves it back for Zellweger, and picked up now by Power. He looked ahead for Bourgault. The pass too far for him. Icing called against Canada.
The entire tenor of this game has changed now with the 2 Russian power play goals. You mentioned earlier, Gord, that Canada killing all these penalties, 4 of them in the second period. Half their bench just sits there. And they've got extra forwards dressed as well. You just lose the rhythm of the game. Now they've got to try and find it back a little bit.
Khusnutdinov for the face-off against Wright, who also had a terrific under-18 tournament. What a gathering of talent that was. Now Michkov works it and shoots. That was blocked. as Zellweger got in the way. Michkov throws it back for Gursanov. The pass missed him. And Michkov directing traffic out there. The youngest Russian player. And it's moved in by Guzlistov. Michkov slides that back to Kormislov. And in comes Svechkov, couldn't get a shot away. Steklov plays it back, and Chabrikov couldn't get a shot away. Sortov with it. Justin Sortov had his pocket pick there. Chabrikov works in. Chabrikov walks right in. A little backhand shot. Kosa makes the save on that. Back at the point. Chabrikov drops it up. Chabrikov a long shot. That goes wide as well. Svechkov with it. Now Chabrikov a chance. That's blocked as well. And Canada with an odd man rush here as the Russians are changing. Neighbors works in for Sortov. That's knocked down and moved out by Savikov. Sortov in across the line now. Justin Sortov plays for the Vancouver Giants in the Western League. Flips that in. Now Savikov had his pocket picked by Cooley. Batted off the boards, not quite out by Smirnov. Bouncing puck and now picked up by Zinchenko. Long cross ice pass for Zlodeyev out of his reach, and Canada regroups. O'Rourke up for Desnoyers. That pass bounced away from him. Zellweger jumped up for Canada for Desnoyers. Cooley came in, gave Savikov a hard ride, and the puck loose at center ice. Shots are 25-16 in favor of Canada. Ronan Seelig, native of Olds, Alberta, a couple hours south of here. Battles for it in the corner. A strong Western presence on the team. 12 players from the Western League on the roster. And the puck loose at center ice. Tutnev tries to drop that back. Novikov works in around McTavish. Tutnev trying to play it back around. The pass was picked off by Lambos. Knocked free by Bork. And across he goes to Seelig. McTavish works ahead. McTavish across to Johnson. Kent Johnson centering pass. Loose puck that was knocked away from McTavish. Johnson. These guys went to town in the first period. Kent Johnson. Long wrist shot goes wide, picked up by McTavish. Mason McTavish to Gooley. Gooley, rink wide, centering pass. McTavish walks in, scores! What a move by Mason McTavish! And it's 5-2 Canada.
What patience on McTavish, a NHL-ready shot. And slick hands as he takes the pass from Donovan Sebrango across the seam. Askarov thinks he's going to shoot it. He freezes him and then goes around Askarov and has enough room and time to pull it back to the goal crease and push it into the net. Just a beauty from McTavish.
One of 7 Canadian players who can return next year. And McTavish yelling down the bench at Sebrango about the nice pass. So 3.5 to go here in the second period, and Canada has regained its 3-goal lead. Perfetti picks it free. In comes Cole Perfetti. Shovels that towards the goal. Askarov down, made the save. Now Steklov for Husnudinov. In for Michkov. Matvei Michkov trying to step around Perfetti. Michkov still on it. Sends it back in front. Husnudinov turned away, and Kosa quickly pounces on the rebound. 5-2 Canada leads. Mason McTavish. What a goal.
In the first period, we saw Canada's defense way up in the play. Zellweger and Owen Power on a rush. This time it's Caden Gooley going D to D, but that's his defense partner, Sebrango, who's down at the hash marks, side to side. The D stretch up and down the zone, and Sebrango finds McTavish for a beauty.
And there's a long shot by Mohamed Doolin, and that's stopped by Sebastian Cossa.
Mohamed Doolin has signed his entry-level contract at the start of December with the New Jersey Devils.
And now Mohamed Doolin bats at that. The puck goes into the Russian bench, and it all begins for real on Boxing Day. Canada opens against Czechia, the former Czech Republic. It has to be called Czechia. We'll have all the games for you here on TSN, leading to the gold medal game on January the 5th. And by January the 5th, you'll barely be able to remember what happened on Boxing Day.
Amazing how the tournament changes. Somebody that was really struggling catches fire or goes the other way.
Mohamed Doolin moved around Cooley, shoots. That was knocked down in front. Zellweger got it turned away, and that shot fired wide by Zinchenko. Battle on the boards for it. Back of the line, Zinchenko fires it back in. Zinchenko, another guy who has played in all 3 Russian leagues this year. Here's Zinchenko back with it. Steps around Zellweger. Flips it back to Smirnov. Cross he goes to Novikov, and they score! From the sharp angle. Pashin puts it by Cossa, and it's 5-3.
4-goal first, now 4 goals here in the second. As Pashin's right along the goal line. Oh, he catches Cossa leaning off the post. He's shooting this. Sometimes players will just try and direct this to the front of the net, but he catches Cossa out, not sealing the post, in a almost impossible angle goal from Pashin has made it 5-3.
We talked about that championship game with the Hlinka Gretzky Cup in 2019, the summer under-18 tournament. Pashin scored twice in that championship game in the 3-2 Russian win. Wasn't selected to play for the Russians last year. And here's Kent Johnson knocking it back. The only dress rehearsal these teams have for the upcoming tournament. And there's a hand pass called at center ice. We've talked a little bit about the Russian team, and they've chosen all their players from Russian leagues this year for the tournament. They've also talked about imposing a financial penalty on players who leave under 23 to go play in other pro leagues outside of Russia, so it would force players to reimburse their club teams. In addition, SK St. Petersburg and other teams are signing young players to long contracts. Michkov, we mentioned, a 6-year deal is signed, so a team that drafted him presumably in 2023 would not be able to get him until the fall of 2026. And more players are experiencing that. The Russians are trying to gain more leverage, and they want the KHL to become not just a better league, but they're looking, Ray, for soccer-style transfer fees. They're not signatories to the NHL IHF transfer agreement right now, but they want bigger money for their players, which is right now prohibited for NHL teams to do.
Like to keep their players at home, so it now becomes a financial war, basically, for some of these terrific young players.
NHL teams cannot make direct payments to teams in Europe to get players. Final minute now of the period. In comes Perfetti. Cole Perfetti swings it back across for Power. In comes Owen Power. Walks off the boards. Power still on it. Peels back, slides it back. Perfetti with a chance, works in and shoots. Askarov save. He juggled the rebound, but hangs on.
Strong play by Power down the right wing boards. As he holds the puck, and when there's no play, he's just going to kind of reverse it to Perfetti. He gets by the forward here rather easily, but he doesn't throw it blindly into the slot. He turns back, and Perfetti tries to go up over the glove of Askarov, who makes the stop.
Right for the face-off, a scramble draw, poke free by Perfetti, who flipped that wide. Right, flips it back, and that long shot by O'Rourke kicked out by Askarov. Steklov, move that to center ice, knocked down by Perfetti. He swings it back for Power. Owen Power in from Mississauga, Ontario for Perfetti. And that plays offside at the Russian line. 8 seconds to go in the second period.
A 4-0 Canada lead is now 5-3.
On the left, there's Oleg Znarok, former head coach of the Russian national men's team. So he's an assistant coach to Zubov. We mentioned Zubov has been a head coach in the KHL before for 3 different teams. And so the Russians get some life here in the second period. Canada's got a 5-3 lead after 40 minutes of play. You're watching pre-tournament action for the 2022 World Junior Hockey Championship. Our second intermission is coming up.
Nobody covers the game like us. This is NHL Network.
Second period scoring summary. A lot more Russian flags on this one as Michkov gets his first. McTavish's second and third point of the game. And Passion's first with a double dose of assists from Nikitas. Russia opens up against Sweden in Red Deer on Boxing Day. Canada against the Czechs from Edmonton. But one more period to play before they get there with Gordon Ray.
All right, thank you, James. You know, you think back 18 years to the tournament in Halifax in '03, and the first time we got to see Alexander Ovechkin. There's that moment when you first see someone that you never forget. This is your first time seeing Matvei Michkov.
Yeah, different than what I thought. You know, like you hear about a player, you read about him, you see him in highlights, and you make this mental picture of what he's going to be. And Michkov really doesn't look much like I thought he was. He's stockier than I thought. He's strong on the puck. He can really shoot it, and he shoots it in various ways. The snapshot we saw there, here's going to be the one-timer that he beats Kosa on the short side. He demands the puck when he's on the ice. It's just there's a presence to this kid that when the play is in full force, he wants the puck coming to him, and they want to get it to him. At just 17 years old, you can see how dynamic he is already and what he's going to look like.
New goalie for Russia for the third period, Yegor Guskov, who plays for Yaroslavl in the MHL, which is the Russian Junior League. So the 19-year-old comes on, just 5'11", in place of Yaroslav Askarov, who allows 5 goals on 29 Canadian shots. Russia, as we mentioned, will open against Sweden on Boxing Day. They play Switzerland, Slovakia, and close out the round robin against the United States on New Year's Eve. Canada opens against Czechia on Boxing Day. And a big hit there as Justin Sorda stepped into his man and rocked Nikita Smirnov. Here's Smirnov back with it. Throws that back down to the Canadian zone, and Power finds right. Kustadinov picks it off. Kustadinov rink wide for Michkov. Shoots, and Kosa knocks that away. Here's Michkov again. That bounces away. Zellweger moves it ahead. Zellweger flips that, but the puck bounces into the Russian bench. We mentioned that '03 championship in Halifax. You see Dave Cameron behind the Canadian bench. In '04 in Helsinki, you had the first overall pick from the year before, Marc-Andre Fleury in goal. You had Ovechkin, who was going to go first in the upcoming draft, and yet Crosby, who would go first in '05.
There's some players that are, you've got Wright here, that most people believe is the first pick this year, and then you've got the young guys next year into 2023. It's such a cool thing to see these players jump onto the stage for the first time. They can really grab your attention early. You see Dave Cameron, he told us this morning, Gord, that at some point, he really wants to evaluate its lines at 5-on-5, and sure they'd love to see this period played just as it is now.
Savakov, a shot that deflected wide. Picked out by Gooley. And Caden Gooley. In across center ice. Now across the line, Gooley. Spreads out ahead for Perfetti. Perfetti, a centering pass. And a quick chip there. Taken by Xavier Bourgault. And that's stopped by Guskov.
Guskov gets into the game, and his first test is not an easy one. It's right from in close here as he's got to follow the puck behind the net, where Perfetti goes behind the back to Bourgault, and he pushes right to left to make the stop on Bourgault. 22 goals in 24 games for Bourgault in Shawinigan this year.
Bump back down to the Canadian zone. Lambos back to pick it up. Carson Lambos, Winnipeg native, first round pick of the Minnesota Wild, moved that back to center ice.
We got a penalty, an interference call here. I think this is on Smirnov.
It is.
Away from the play, Canada will get their fourth power play. Oh, he's late to the hit as Bourque had one-touched the puck away. That's a pretty solid hit that he absorbs. And Canada's power play, including Maverick Bourque, will jump out for the first time in this period.
Canada 2 for 3 with 7 shots in the power play. Perfetti looks back to Power. Rink winding goes to Johnson, to McTavish in front of the goal. McTavish back across to Perfetti. Cole Perfetti centers it. That's tipped wide by Bourque. Perfetti back for Power to Johnson. Johnson to Bourque to Power. Slides that down. Johnson to Bourque in the high slot, shoots, and Guskov knocks that away. Now brought out by Power. Power drops it back. In comes Mason McTavish with it. McTavish rings that around, waiting for it is Johnson. Kent Johnson slides it back to Power, to Johnson. Looks back to Power. Power bumps it across. McTavish for Perfetti, trying to swing it back across. And Johnson leaves it there for Power. Owen Power slides that back to Maverick Bourque. 45 seconds to go on the power play. Power back with it. Not a big shooter from the point. Back to Perfetti. Walks it and shoots. It ramps off a stick and wide and bounces back to center ice.
I like the movement for Canada. McTavish started down by the net front, and Bourque up in the bumper spot. They ended up flipping around. McTavish moving up into the middle, and out of those different sets, Canada with a couple of decent chances.
Jake Neighbors in for Zellweger. Back for Neighbors. Bumps that back to right to Cormier. In comes Wright with it. Shane Wright back for Cormier. Across he goes to Zellweger. Pass across and Wright with a shot. Glove saved by Guskov.
That's a nice save for Guskov. Really sure about himself as Shane Wright gets the opportunity from the top of the circles. And Connor Bedard's in the bumper spot here. Wright shows good control as it goes back to Cormier and Zellweger, and those two mobile along the line, opens up that chance, and it's really a clean look for Guskov from that position.
Zubov once again getting an explanation from an official. Referees have rotated through this game as well. As Gooley shoots, that's blocked. 2 shots for Canada, that power play, right?
Gord, sorry, I'm laughing at Zubov talking to the officials. He never spoke on the ice, ever. He's had a running conversation going over here.
Now back at the point, and that shot by Mohamedulin trails wide. The other thing is Oleg Znarok, as we mentioned, the longtime former coach of the Russian national team, is an assistant here, and he's very active behind the Russian bench, as he was behind the national team bench. Now a loose puck at the side of the goal, knocked down by Neighbors, and a quick chance for Sort of. That's just wide. Seeley steps up. Knocked down by Neighbors. Goes back across to Ridley Gregg, who has a goal here tonight. In for Sorda. Justin Sorda throws that towards the goal, gathers it back up. Sorda still on it. Looks for Gregg to Sorda. Back to O'Rourke. Sorda down to Cooley. And Will Cooley peels out of the corner. Crisscrossing there with O'Rourke, who's jumped up. Hard pass for Sorda. Swings it back in, and Cooley couldn't reach that pass. O'Rourke winds and shoots, and Guskov knocks that away. Now a centering pass just out of the reach of Cooley. And the rebound rattled high by O'Rourke.
That's a good shift for Canada. They get their big guys engaged in the game and control 30 seconds in the offensive zone.
Here's Wright with it. Back to center ice. That's knocked down by Kormislav. And back to pick it up is O'Rourke. Perfetti for Sabrango. Donovan Sabrango drops it back to the right. Rink wide pass, missed Bourgault. And now Bourgault stays on it as Michkov knocked it down for the Russians. At center ice, Lambo's gotten a collision. He's back to his feet. Kuzlistov brings it back now for Russia. In across the line he comes. Drops that back for Yurov. Now Michkov for Yurov. That's knocked down by Perfetti. Cross he goes to Sabrango. Lifted back to center ice. Novikov for Yurov. And Sabrango chops at that. Plays it back out to the Russian zone. Back goes Kirsanov to pick it up, being shadowed there by Bourque. This is Chabrikov. Jumping it across the line. Poke check there by McTavish. Rebound loose in front. Chabrikov couldn't quite reach it. And now Johnson back the other way. Kent Johnson. Rink wide pass to Zellweger. Zellweger across to Johnson. Centers of McTavish's shot that rattled wide.
Oh, do Johnson and McTavish ever have the feel where each other are today?
Now bouncing puck at center ice, knocked down by Owen Power. Cross he goes to Zellweger. Lead pass to Johnson. Here they come again. Drops for McTavish. Shoots. And Guskov makes the save. 5-3 Canada leads. It's pre-tournament action for the 2022 World Junior Hockey Championship. For the fellas. Now Goulet plays that back into the Russian zone. That's knocked down by Zlodeyev. And brought out now by Zinchenko. And that's shot in from the wrong side of center ice. Icing called against the Russians.
Well, both teams will get, and the same, I guess, with everyone else in the tournament, but the Czechs and the Swiss who didn't get to play today. But we'll get some game film to look at their team, see what worked, what they thought might that didn't, or what exceeded their expectations. And I mean, for Canada, it would have done them no good to play a team not on their level. I mean, it was important to play somebody like Russia here in a game like this.
So this was supposed to be their third pre-tournament game, so you always want to play a tough one before you go into the tournament. Canada will take on the Czechs on Boxing Day, as you mentioned, and close against the Finns on New Year's Eve. The Russians are in a much tougher group. It's based on the standings from the year before. Now a steal. And the centering pass is knocked down as Desnoyers got a stick on that.
Sweden, Switzerland, Slovakia, and then the U.S. on New Year's Eve for Russia.
Lead pass to Pashin. Bouncing puck was knocked away and scooped up there by Ryan O'Rourke. Plays for Sault Ste. Marie in the Ontario League. Seeley around to O'Rourke. Chop back to center ice. Tutney couldn't gather up the rolling puck, and now Mohamedulin has it back for the Russians. Potomariov sends that down, and a race for it. O'Rourke gets there. Tangles with Tutnev. And at the line, it's held by Kormislav. Here's O'Rourke on it now. And Ryan O'Rourke back with it, the Bowmanville, Ontario native. Tied up in the corner. They're battling the corner for it. Chutney trying to work that free, and does. Passion can't get a shot away. The puck loose and kicked away by Sortov, and back out to center ice. And trying to wind in was Kormislav, but his clearing attempt went into the Canadian bench.
Closed captioning is brought to you in part by Quaker Oats, proud partner of Canadian Hockey Mornings.
Back here in Edmonton, that's City Hall. Dave Cameron, 11 years after he last coached the Canadian national junior team. We actually saw him in Europe a bunch of times. He was coaching the Vienna Capitals in Austria. He's very happy there, but got a chance to come back. He's the head coach of the Ottawa 67s in the OHL and back to coach the Canadian national junior team. Now Bedard works in and shoots. He whistled that wide.
One of the rare 5-on-5 shifts for Connor Bedard. Of the difficulties for young players playing in this tournament is you don't get to play as much as you do at home, and so you got to find a shift, find something to be effective at.
And Bedard the 7th. We got a chance to talk to Connor McDavid last week when we were here, and about his 16-year-old experience. He played in the 2014 tournament in Sweden, and it didn't go great for him at times. He was benched at times for taking penalties.
I found it interesting that Connor McDavid said he wasn't sure he felt like he belonged at the tournament as a 16-year-old. And you're like, it seems so absurd to think of that now. But at the time, you're a 16-year-old kid.
Perfetti centers it all alone in front. Bedard scores!
He belongs on cue. Left all alone in front of the net. Connor Bedard's got his first. I thought he was going to one-time this. As the Russians are breaking out, it deflects off their own player's skate. Really nice play in front of the net from Perfetti across to Bedard. I thought he's going to one-time it when the puck comes straight across the net. But look at the patience. Hold it, one move to his right. Pull it around the goaltender and does not miss. Connor Bedard, who had 28 points in 15 games last year, is a 15-year-old in Regina. 14 goals in 24 games this year. A rare 5-on-5 shift here today, but he's got a goal on a nice pass from Perfetti.
Native of North Vancouver, BC.
Team Canada goal scored by number 16, Connor Bedard.
Got a chance to talk to John Paddock, his coach in Regina. Paddock said he's the real deal. There's no other way to describe it. He just has it. You can't define it, but you know it when you see it. And Paddock said he's got it.
Oh, so there's a goal for Michkov, a goal for Bedard. That's the 2023 guys on the board today.
Power puts it high in the air, back to center ice, past the midway point now of the third period. And Mason McTavish whistles that back down to the Russian zone. Nikita Smirnov drops that back, and here is Mohamedulin with it. He'll play a ton for the Russians in the tournament. Runs their power play. Cooley bumps it back down the Russian line, and Kormislav back around to Kirsanov. Now that centering pass is knocked down, kicked away by Cooley. Little Cooley. Drop that back for Cormier. Desnoyers pokes at it. Cooley trying to work it free. And now Cooley back across to Cormier, who flips that back down, but Desnoyers was offside, so they're going to tag up. Zinchenko rolls that down slowly, handled easily by Kosa, and Cooley brings it back across to Cormier. By the way, the officials will be international crews this year. Last year was all Canadian officials because of the border closures. So we're back to full international crews at this World Junior Championship. Nifty move there by Chuknev. Feeds it back across to Passion. That handcuffed him. Passion. He in the corner with it now. Got tied up there by Neighbors. Passion stays on it. Takes the return pass and shoots. And Kosa got a glove on that, but the puck was played with a high stick. And the face-off will come outside. 8:08 to go here in the third period. Connor Bedard's on the board for Canada at the age of 16.
This is NHL Network.
Behind the bubble that he's wearing in this tournament, a visor in the Western Hockey League, is a 16-year-old. Connor Bedard takes the Perfetti pass and just shows awesome patience 5 feet from the net. It's one thing to have the patience. Don't forget, I don't think Connor Bedard's played 6 or 7 minutes today. So to have that patience while you're standing there, to accept the pass and to still not panic and shoot it right away, is the mark of a scorer.
We asked Connor McDavid what advice he'd give to a 16-year-old playing in the tournament. He said, turn off social media. Right away, he said, turn off social media. McDavid felt like paying attention to it just made things snowball for him. And the next year, when the tournament was in Toronto and Montreal, the Canadian players as a group said they would not be on social media or devices during the tournament. And McDavid felt that was a big factor in their gold medal win.
So much pressure on the players anyway, and if they're worried about what everybody else thinks of them, it becomes even more difficult.
Especially when a lot of those everyone else's are anonymous.
Sure.
Jake Neighbors works it back in. Here's Smirnoff back for it. Knocked down by Sorda, but that's taken away by Svechkov. Kuzlitsov works in and whistled that wide. Now Kuzlitsov try to move it back in, but Bourque, a little cold shoulder there on Chibrikov. And here's O'Rourke with it. Up ahead to Neighbors, who chips it down to the Russian zone. And Guskov out to play it. Canada won the semifinal matchup a year ago, 5-0. Went on to lose the gold medal game to Team USA. The Russians lost the bronze medal game to the Finns. Igor Larionov was their coach last year. Kuznetsov works in. Centers it. And that shot taken by Yurov goes off a stick, up and out of play.
So Canada comfortably in front here, 6-3. And it's been an odd period and a bit for Sebastian Cossa. He hasn't had a lot of work. He's given up the 2 goals, and one of them a sharp angle shot from Pashin that beat him from almost along the goal line. And I would suspect the goaltending lineup looks as though Garand will start the first game. He was terrific in his stint today, 28 minutes that he was in, 1 goal on 15 shots.
Now Bedard back out there for Canada. By the way, Canada plays back-to-back games December 28th and 29th against Germany and Austria. Right. Tries to knock that back for Bedard. Ahead for Wright. In comes Wright. Drop pass for Lambos. Across to Sabrango. Shoots. And the stop made by Guskov. Wright feeds that back to Sabrango. Little pass finds Perfetti. Wright poking at it, but it bounces away, and Sabrango has to retreat to center ice. McTavish drops it back to Johnson. In comes Kent Johnson across the line and tried to shoot him at it, fanned. And now Power back to pick it up. Owen Power drops that back to Zellweger. Top defense pair for Canada goes to work as Mohamedulin knocks that back for Kormislav. Ponomaryov moves that in. And away comes Johnson with it. Kent Johnson. And that roll off his stick, sent back down. We mentioned the Russians have no North American players on their roster. In 2011 they did that, won the gold medal. That team was pretty good. That was Kuznetsov, Panarin, Tarasenko. They were all right.
It's tough to take any formula and say in an age-out tournament that's the one you should use. Every year presents a different challenge or different opportunity. So I don't know that there's exactly one way that you need to go about it. A little bit of frustration for Sergei Zubov. His team's had a little bit of trouble, I would say, moving the puck. with any cohesion up the ice.
When the Rangers won the Cup in 1994, he was their leading scorer in the regular season. And that was Brian Leetch. I mean, that was a good team.
Yeah, when him and Brian Leetch were together on the ice, which actually they set up the first goal of the final game in Game 7 about Vancouver, it was Zubov way down by the net, and he found Leetch, who was just far down the ice, to put the Rangers ahead.
Zubov behind the Russian bench.
He was so good with the puck. He would just stand there and you would come at him and try and take his ice away, and he would just stand there like a statue, and then he'd pass it right through your feet. He was so good with the puck.
Named to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2019. He was a World Junior Gold medalist for the then Soviet Union in '89, won an Olympic gold medal with the...
Oh, look out.
It was a hit at center ice, and Desnoyers taken down, and he's limping back to the Canadian bench.
That looked awkward the second that he went into the boards.
Desnoyers very slowly back to the Canadian bench. Of course, Canada lost Kirby Dach last year before the tournament began in a pre-tournament game right here. And Desnoyers is heading down the tunnel, I think, towards the Canadian dressing room. Svechkov. Robs that back to Khusnutdinov, and a sharp angle shot taken there by Svechkov. Goes off the side of the net. Now picked up by Sorda. Justin Sorda. Up for Neighbors. And Khusnutdinov back for it. 3:45 to go in the third period. Edmonton and Red Deer will play host to this year's tournament. Red Deer playing host to games for the first time since the 1995 tournament when Canada won gold. As that sharp angle shot is stopped by Kosa, he'll hang on. That was during a lockout year. That was the first of the so-called dream teams for Canada.
Well, look at this play as Desnoyers goes into the boards and his left foot is extended and folds back on him. He doesn't really put much on it, much weight on it as he heads to the locker room. And it was a hard look for him there.
Hamidulin lays that down. Here's Perfetti with it. Cole Perfetti for Zellweger. Now Zellweger walks it and shoots. That's gloved by Guskov. And again, the rosters are 25 players per team, 22 skaters, 3 goaltenders. You cannot replace a player now. Since December 15th, you cannot add anyone to your roster.
Hopefully it's not as bad as he looked. Actually, he's coming back onto the bench.
Back on the Canadian bench, but that's a great sign.
Young.
Okay.
Good for him. That did not look very good.
Now Wright gets taken down. That's going to be a penalty to Russia as Nikita Novikov goes off with 3:05 to go in the third period.
A strong play by Wright as he takes the puck into the defender's space, and Novikov has to defend him, but Wright's turning into him. He ends up wrapping his arm around him. That's a drawn penalty. Nicely done by Shane Wright.
So McTavish comes back out with Perfetti, Bourque, Johnson, and Power. McTavish wins the face-off to Perfetti, takes the return pass from Power. Perfetti to Power. Oh, and Power, little wrist shot loose in front. They battle away for it. Bourque put it wide. Winding in is Johnson. Down to McTavish. Flips it back to Power. Power to McTavish. Back to Power. McTavish to Johnson. Loose in front. Battle for the puck. McTavish back on it. And now Power reaches out and holds the line. That long shot drifts down, and Guskov makes the save.
Nothing too crisp about that, but they end up with a couple of good chances out of it. as well as Gushkov makes the save. Bourque had 2 chances, one on a rebound, one on a tip. As like earlier, he bounces back and forth from the bumper spot down to the net front.
Now the second unit comes out. Neighbors, along with Bedard, Wright, Cormier, and Zellweger. And here is Zellweger with it. Across to Wright, and the puck bounced out. Nolan Zellweger, Anaheim's second-round pick in 2021. Up ahead for Wright. Wright drops it back. Here's Zellweger. Neighbors to Cormier. Back at the point. Zellweger is shot. That deflected wide. At the point is Zellweger. Takes a return pass from Cormier.
2 minutes left in the third period.
In comes Wright with a long shot. Bouncing puck at the side of the goal. Goes to Neighbors. Neighbors back to Wright. Neighbors got tied up at the corner. Fish back to Zellweger. Zellweger to Wright. Walks in and shoots. He rattled that high. Cormier trying to hold the line and skipped away from him, and he pokes it back to Zellweger. 30 seconds to go in the Canadian power play. Lead pass for Bedard, but it's offside at the Russian line.
Nice little quick up as the puck was cleared out of the zone, and as the Russians changed, Bedard just made a tight turn and headed straight up the ice. Neighbors just wasn't able to get out of the zone. I thought it was pretty tight. As Bedard scoops, takes that puck, and now he's on his way into the zone. They called Neighbors on the far side off on the play.
McTavish back out there for the face-off. Shovel back to center ice and Power. Slides it across to Gouli. Now Perfetti up for McTavish. Picks up the loose puck. Mason McTavish in the corner with it. Back for Gouli. Canada with 2 defensemen out there at the end of this power play now. Power for Gouli. McTavish walks off the boards. Drops it down to Perfetti. 2 shots for Canada on that power play. Out of the box comes Novikov. That's flipped wide. Power flips it there to Perfetti. Old Perfetti across the line, flips it there to Power, jumping up. Oh, and Power, a centering pass, flipped just wide by Bourque. Inside a minute to go now in the third period. Drop pass there, score! Husnudinov drops it back, Michkov again. He's got his second at 6-4.
The 2 best players on the Russian side today, Merit Husnudinov, a second rounder of Minnesota in 2020. And Matvei Michkov is going to one-time this. This is a rocket. Quick, and it beats Kosa again. But it's Husnudinov's speed that pushes Canada back deep into the zone. Sabrango backs off. Husnudinov leaves it on the tee. And Michkov makes it 6-4.
Matvei Michkov, who burst onto the scene at the Under-18 Championship in Texas last spring. Makes his presence felt here in the pre-tournament. There'll be someone to watch this year. Next, and who knows beyond that. A centering pass, Husnudinov knocks it down. 20 seconds to go in the period. Novikov drops that back. And now Husnudinov, the captain, teed that up and deflected up and out of play.
As he gave up the 3 goals in relief of Garand, but lots to like offensively. The power play was good. They got some goals from people that are supposed to score them.
And Michkov, another shot there with 5 seconds to go in the period.
That kid falls out of bed and shoots the puck. Man, it's on his stick and it is off in a hurry.
To mention at the Under-18 tournament, Michkov scored 12 goals in 7 games. Led the tournament in goals and points. He has 2 goals in 13 games in the KHL this year with SKA St. Petersburg. He's also played in the MHL, the Russian Junior League. There's Kirsanov, a shot that rattles high off the glass. Kosa sweeps that away. And Canada will leave the pre-tournament game with a 6-4 win over Russia. Next stop, the Czechs. On Boxing Day, the Russians will head down to Red Deer and face Sweden on Boxing Day.